Welcome to the Hooligan Nation, a KISS-Centric podcast. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Rocco.
Shit, I thought you were having a seizure or something.
Kind of felt that way a little bit.
Auntie M, looked like you were spinning up in a tornado. Well, this is supposed to be our KISS current events bonus episode, but of course, there isn't really anything out there this week that we could find. Paul does appear on another podcast, not named the Hooligan Nation. There's a shocker. It is a food-based podcast called Industry Only at the Cheese Store. Not much there in regards to music or KISS, but if you're interested, they have a channel on YouTube. It's Industry Only at the Cheese Store. So we pivot. I was surfing around and trying to find something today, and I came across a post from a Facebook group that I belong to. And well, sometimes that's where ideas are born. So welcome to What Happens When You Meet Your Heroes. Strap in, crank it up, and let's talk KISS. Good with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, okay, good. So this post in the group, the question was, have you ever met a KISS band member? And since I have met both Peter Criss and Ace Frehley, and I promised KJ Nodwell I would tell this story on a podcast, I thought this would be a good time. But first, let's read some comments from other KISS fans who have met members, and then we can get to my experience. Now, before we start this, let's put our common sense caps on, okay? We are not bad-mouthing any current or ex-member of KISS. It's all about perspective, and it seems to me from the comments, it's all about the day of the week. These guys are no different than we are, and they can have bad days. And from some of these comments, it seems like some of them were having very bad days. So let's take that all into consideration. It's just something that I found pretty interesting, how you find one comment from one fan that says, blank was great. And then the next comment is blank was an a-hole.
Before you dive in, can I ask you a question that I'm really not sure about how you would answer it?
Sure.
In regards to that.
In regards to what?
In regards to what you just said and where you're going.
Yeah.
Let's say you have, money that's endless and you are a superstar and everybody knows you. You can't go anywhere without somebody knowing you. Would you get tired of attention after a while?
Absolutely.
When you don't want it?
Absolutely.
Me too.
And that's why I wanted to say that, because I think certain fans will take it that we're bashing certain members, and then I think certain other fans will take it that that member is just completely a terrible human being because he acted a certain way at a certain time. Now, I will tease slightly that I met Ace Frehley separate from Peter Criss. And although my Ace Frehley experience was interesting to say the least, Ace was great. Peter was not so great. I don't really hold it against Peter because I just think it was a lot of things rolled up into one. And I think part of it was the fact that Peter was playing this little small club. He was not flying on private jets anymore. Things like that weren't happening. And I think that, it was a bad day for Peter. So we'll start with some comments that I pulled from this Facebook post, and we'll start with our little demon. The first comment was in regards to Gene Simmons. This fan met him in Manchester, New Hampshire, and wrote, one of the most considerate celebrities I've ever met. Stayed in that New Hampshire coffee shop at the hotel and signed and took a photo with every fan there. We start off with a good comment. This same person also met Paul Stanley, I'm guessing the same day, but it doesn't say that, in Manchester, New Hampshire. Pretty much a douchebag, wanted nothing to do with the fans, and blew through the crowd without even making eye contact, was headed to the van outside the hotel to head over to the arena. Tommy Thayer. He met Tommy Thayer in Portland, Oregon. Incredibly cool guy, engaged with everybody who approached him. Eric Singer. This same person met Eric Singer in New York City. This one was a little shocking to me. Really wanted nothing to do with the fans who approached him. This same fan met Ace Frehley in Derry, New Hampshire. Said Ace was pretty indifferent but considerate to the fans who asked for a picture. Thought that was cool. Another fan, short and sweet and to the point. Met Bruce Kulick, said he was a nice guy. Met Eric Carr, said he was amazing. Met Eric Singer, said he was a nice guy. Met Peter Criss, said he was very moody. That does not surprise me.
That's been his MO forever.
Right. Met Ace Frehley, not very nice when I met him. Wouldn't sign my arm under my Ace tattoo so I could ink his signature. Very disappointing. I agree with that. I don't know why celebrities do that kind of stuff. If I was a celebrity and somebody wanted to tattoo my autograph on them, I just
how could you say no to that?
I mean, I can understand why these guys, you know, there's a monetary value on their signature.
Yeah, but they're putting their name on the guy's arm forever. Like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's a dedicated fan right there. I don't want Gene Simmons. I love Gene. I don't want his name on my freaking body.
Another fan wrote, I met Peter Criss, signed my Dynasty album, never looked up. LOL. Was still a cool experience. Indifferent. That's kind of Peter's MO.
Again, like, you don't feel sorry for these guys, but I would want the money. I don't think I think after a while I'd get tired of the fame. I would not want that kind of. It's one thing when there's going to be days I can see the average person is going to want that attention, but then there's other days where you're like, listen, I just want to be a normal person and be able to have a life and be able to go to the store and be able to hang out with my family. Like, I don't know about you. If I'm out to dinner with my family and I'm like really famous and somebody wants to come up and they want an autograph and they want to talk to me, I'm like, have a little respect. I'm having dinner with my family. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. The timing is everything. I met George Lynch. He's one of my guitar gods, one of my guitar heroes. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, we talked about it on the one podcast. To me, I was like, he could be somebody who's not, you can judge somebody from afar and you're like, you know what, he may be a dick up close. The guy couldn't have been a cooler dude. But I was nervous about it because I'm like, I don't want to not like this guy anymore.
I think what we as fans lose sight of sometimes is they're the same. They're the same as us.
Yeah.
You get up, you got a stomach ache, you got the runs. Like, you got to go to work. Do you really want to be signing autographs and taking pictures? This one's a little long, but I thought this was interesting for about 100 different reasons. The fan states, my ex-girlfriend was very close with Paul. That's not good. From when they grew up in Queens, and they would usually spend the night together when he came to LA. When they came to LA, he left us backstage passes. He had called her as usual, and she said she had a boyfriend. Paul called back and said, bring him to the show. I want to meet him. While we were backstage, Gene wasn't very friendly at all. It was really disappointing. Paul, on the other hand, was unbelievably friendly. And, I wondered to myself, is that the Paul and Gene competitive thing? Oh, that's they're Paul's people. And, I don't have to, I just wonder, or again, when you're KISS, you don't really get to call out sick from work when you're having a bad day.
That's true.
I mean,
something too.
You're sending 15, 20,000 people home because, you got the runs or something. So, I think you gotta take that into consideration. And what you said earlier, which is, doesn't that shit get old after a while? And I'm sure it does get old, and I'm sure it probably runs in cycles.
Yeah, there's probably times where you're like, I need a little attention. Somebody say somebody, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you get so used to it that you're like, man, it's been quiet for a while. You know what I mean?
I can see Paul at this point, like, my people. Oh,
You know,
they're oh, you know, a couple years ago, he was probably like, "Get me the hell off of this stage. I've had enough of this."
but you know what, too, Kiss, another area that we do this all the time since we started this. Another area that Kiss is different than any other band. I'm sure that there's fans of like Metallica where James Hetfield's their guy, and other bands like, you know, and Eddie Van Halen with Van Halen, stuff like that. Kiss is like the one band where each member had its own crew of fans, like own, like I think more separate than any other band because they had separate character, like actual characters.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I think to this day, you know, when we went to the Gene Simmons show,
Hmm.
what was interesting to me was you're going to a Gene Simmons show and you're wearing a Vinnie Vincent shirt with him in the Ank Warrior makeup.
Hmm.
Like that said a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like it's a character driven thing.
Yes.
You know, I and you are notorious for saying who you identify with, but I think there's people that identify with the Fox. There's people that identify with the Ank Warrior.
Right.
And then there's people that identify with the four original members, just some more than others.
Right.
The next two comments are both Peter comments, and they are the definition of what I'm talking about. I met Peter Criss, super nice guy. Gigi, his wife, was really sweet. Next guy. Peter lived above me for a year in 1992. He was an absolute nightmare.
Oh. Hmm.
We got to get these two guys together so they can get their story straight. I don't know. It's just incredibly fascinating to me.
Hey, listen, the other aspect of this too is there's certain people that I know. I work retail. There's certain people that just they don't mesh well with people. It could be just a personality difference too.
Sure, and that again, I don't want to make this longer than it needs to be. I don't want to kill this, but there's so many variables. Like you said, are you interrupting this guy when he's having dinner with his family? Is he at an event where his responsibility is to meet and greet, take photos, autograph things, stuff like that? Like, are you meeting him on the street?
Are
Is
you a
he,
noisy? Are you a noisy neighbor and he can't stand you?
yeah, there's all those things to consider. I think it's the pitfalls of being a celebrity. Again, which is why we wanted to say what we said in the beginning. Like, you got to take all of this with a grain of salt. The original four guys have been getting chased around for almost 50 years.
Right.
Like, it's got to get old. And it's got to be annoying sometimes. And then at other times, depending, it may not be. You just sent me a video of Ace. What was he in? Best Buy or Target?
No, Staples.
Staples. He's in at Staples, and they're helping him with the credit card machine, and they want to take pictures, and you know he's being filmed
It's
by
pretty funny.
his people. So I don't expect that he would act like an asshat on his own filming, but he was really cool. He was really cool in the video. The last fan says, I met Vinnie Vincent and Dana Strum in early 1987. They came to my hometown of Goshen, Indiana, to support a lady putting out a local rock magazine who was being harassed by a fundamentalist church. It made the national news.
Hmm.
I thought that was
Yeah, that's
interesting
interesting. Yeah, that's
just
definitely interesting.
because, you know,
Is Vinny doing a good deed?
for those of you that weren't there in the 80s, there was the PMRC. Is that what it was? The PMRC?
Yeah. I think you actually said it right.
I think
The
it's the
the
PM.
world famous thing where D. Snyder's in court,
Yes.
the we're not the parental guidance thing and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't parental music resource
I think you got it right.
center.
I think it is PMRC or something like that.
So you're talking about a crazy time where, which absolutely, by the way, and we should do a segment on this someday. It absolutely backfired because every album of every genre of music that had that label on it, that's the ones all the kids wanted to buy. Like I can
Absolutely.
remember walking into a record store and let's say going for a Kiss album, and boy, if that sticker was on it, I wanted that one. I wanted the one with the sticker on it. It's probably what got me into 80s and 90s rap music is because there were like 12 stickers on each of those records.
Didn't Judas Priest do a song about it? Parental
Uh
guidance, something like that, right? On Turbo, I think.
I don't know if parental
We don't
guidance is
need
about them.
no parental. How did it go?
I don't know. That's interesting though. You might actually be right about that.
I think you did.
Good for you. Good job. Okay, so now let's get to my stories and I'll make them as quick as possible. I'll leave it up to you, Father Rocco. Which one do you want to hear first? The Peter Criss or the Ace Frehley?
I will say that I am envious that you got a chance to meet both of them, even though they were both actually not for nothing. They're both entertaining stories. So I think the Hooligans will be pleased. Let me hear go with the good one first. Go with the Ace first.
All right, we're going to go with the good one first. Before I bring this up, who would have known in like 1994, which is, I think that's the year that I met both of them. But who would have known that however many, and I don't know, 30 years later, 30 years later, I would have material for a KISS podcast. So shout out to Obsessions Nightclub in Randolph, New Jersey, and shout out to their owner, Billy Stavrakis. I love you, Billy. It was one of the funnest jobs I ever had. I was a bouncer at this little club in Randolph, New Jersey called Obsessions. Most of the time during the week, it was a rock club where they would do rock shows. And, they had, they didn't have any major acts.
We spent a lot of our youth there, though. Spent a
It
lot of our
was
youth there.
usually before the band was a national band. Their pet band was Trickster, which is why I hate Trickster to this day. Because like Billy loved Trickster because Trickster was really popular in Jersey at the time. And he used to bring in, I don't want to say they were has-beens because neither Peter or Ace was a has-been at the time, nor do I think they are now, but they were, trying to, in Peter's case, he hadn't put an album out since like 1982. It's 1994. It was his Criss band that was short-lived. In Ace's case, he came out with Fraley's Comet and, he kind of did this and it was 94. It was actually, I believe it was right before their Bad Boys toured together. Anyhow, Billy calls me up and says, I need you to work. I think it was a Tuesday night. I need you to work Tuesday night. And I was like, I don't work during the week. I used to work the under 21 Saturday night and Friday night, and it was more hip hop rap. I mean, that's when you need security. We fought every weekend in that place. He's asking me to work Tuesday, and I'm like, and I can remember being like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. And he goes, all right, okay, I'll let Ace know. I was like, what? Billy knew I was a KISS fan. I was the guy that gets hired there. And I'm trying to talk Billy into, Billy, why don't we get KISS? And he's like, why don't we get who? We can fit like 1,000 people in here. And I'm like, yeah, we'll get KISS. We'll sell the place out. So Billy says to me, well, I'll let Ace know. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, Ace is playing here tonight. want to come work? I'm like, yep, I'm on my way. He goes, okay. So I show up there. I walk downstairs into the office, and Billy says, oh, you showed up. I'm like, hell yeah, I showed up. He's like, cool. You're doing personal security for Ace. He's like, it's in his rider. He gets one. You're that guy. I'm like, okay. I've done this before. Personal security for an artist is the easiest job that you can have in a club, right? Because they spend most of the time on the stage. Like, unless somebody's going to jump on the stage, and that's a dream come true. But unless they're going to jump on the stage, most of the time you don't really have any work to do. You just stand on the side of the stage, and that's it. You don't cater to any of these people. You're security. So I'm standing by the side of the stage, and I think Ace was supposed to go on at like 8 o'clock, and 7:45, Billy comes up to me. Are they here? I go, no. Okay, he'll be here. Okay. 8:15. Is he here? No, no problem. He'll be here. I go, hey, Billy, what do you know about Ace Frehley? He goes, yeah, I know a little bit. I don't know a lot. I go, Ace is kind of notorious for these kinds of things. He's like, yeah. He'll be here. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Poor Billy. Billy had a strong heart because Billy was freaking. And everything changes. Where is this asshole? These people going crazy. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, I don't know, 18, 19 years old. I don't know what to tell this guy. All of a sudden, the side door by the stage opens up, and this long-haired dude walks in like he owns the place. And it ain't Ace, but it looks a little bit like Ace. And I got a shirt on, of course, that says security. Not the brightest thing and any business owner can ever do, but that's a story for another day. And he comes up to me and he goes, hey, I need you. And I look at him and I go, who the hell are you? And he was shocked and he goes, I'm Richie Scarlett. And I go, oh, no shit. You're Richie Scarlett? I mean, you guys got to remember, for the younger people, like, Richie Scarlett is like up here to me. But this is pre-internet. Like, Richie Scarlett wasn't in Cream magazine or Hit Parader or any of that. He was a mythical, magical unicorn type creature at the time. I had no idea what he looked like. So now I'm geeking out that I'm standing about a foot away from Richie Scarlett, and Richie Scarlett's in a panic. And I go, Richie, you guys were supposed to go on an hour ago. And he goes, yeah, I need you to come with me. Okay. We walk out the side door. We go down a set of stairs, and there's a limousine there. And Richie opens the back door of the limousine, and oh my God, there is Ace Frehley, surrounded by beer bottles and beer cans, and he's unconscious. And I look at Richie, and he goes, you know what today is? And I go, no. He goes, today's Ace's birthday. I'm like, oh my God. What am I supposed to do with this? He goes, you're going to have to pick him up and carry him. Now, and you can see this in video and in pictures. Ace was in a bad place at the time. If Ace was 150 pounds at the time, he had nickels and dimes in his pockets. Okay. I mean, he was on a bender for a long period of time. He did not look good. I throw this guy over my shoulder. In we walk. We got a little dressing room off of that side door in the back. And he's out. I mean, he's 100% unconscious. And I sit him on a chair and I turn around to Richie and I'm like, yo, where's the rest of the band? They're here. Okay. I gotta go find my boss. Like this isn't gonna happen. No, no, no. It'll be okay. Watch. Richie Scarlett picks up Ace's guitar, walks over to him, hits him a couple times, and says, hey, it's time to go. Up pops Ace Frehley. Let's go. Puts the guitar on, plugs in, walks out on stage, and annihilates the night. Dude, I've seen Ace, I don't know, probably 10 times. It was by far the best Ace show I shouldn't say that. I've seen Ace about 10 times solo, and that was the best experience. I mean, he was hammered out of his mind. When he walked on stage, it was no different than I had ever seen him before. And that's probably because he was always hammered out of his mind. But didn't slur his words singing. I couldn't figure out any mistakes. Him and Richie both commanded the stage. It was an incredibly good show. Like I can remember telling Billy the owner afterwards, like we should have really recorded that. Like that's how good it was in this small little Obsessions nightclub. And the funny part is, by the time they got off the stage, Richie Scarlett and I, we were like besties because we were in this together. We go back in the dressing room and I'm talking to Richie and Richie's saying to me, like, hey, thanks for saving us. And I'm like, oh, yeah, my pleasure. Again, I'm 18 or 19 years old and I'm in a dressing room with Richie Scarlett and Ace Frehley. And honestly, I have no memory if John Regan was the bass player or not. I think he was. I had no idea who the drummer was. I never even paid any attention to that. It was about Ace and Richie Scarlett. Ace walks up to the conversation and says, what are you thanking him for? And Richie goes, you don't remember that he had to scoop you up out of the limo and carry you in here, do you? No. Why would he have to do that? And we're looking at him, and I'm looking at him like, oh my God. And then he looks at me and he goes, hey kid, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? Well, what are you doing? Like for the next month or two? I'm like, I don't know. I need a security guard. You should come on tour with me. I'm like, no. And we're negotiate, like we didn't negotiate. He didn't talk about money, but we're having a discussion over going on tour. And at 18, and I got to give myself credit because my personality was that I would normally have said, yes, let's go. We leave now. And for some reason, after having scoop him up out of that limousine, I was like, why do I picture this job not being worth whatever it is he pays me, because it's going to be a babysitting job. But I got to give Ace credit. Well, I don't know if I got to give him credit. By the time he got off stage, he was pretty much sobered up or looked that way. I think he hung out in the dressing room for at least an hour, if not 2 hours. They did start drinking again. And everything that has ever been said about Richie Scarlett and Ace Frehley were absolutely true, because it was almost like a sporting event. They were keeping tabs on what each other was drinking, and it was like a competition. And you could just tell that. And then they're trying to feed me alcohol. I can't touch any alcohol. And I'm trying to explain this to Ace. And Ace keeps telling me, don't worry about it. I'm giving you a job. And I'm like, nah, dude, like, I'm not going on tour with you. Yeah, sure you are. Sure you are. Here, have a beer. No, I don't want a beer. KJ Nodwell, that's for you. That's my brush with greatness Ace Frehley story. You want to hear the Peter Criss one?
Yeah, it's entertaining. I've heard it a few times and I never get tired of it.
It's heartbreaking. So again, same club, same boss. The owner calls me up and says, tomorrow I need somebody to pick Peter Criss up from the airport and take him to WDHA, which was the local radio station that was technically in Randolph, but for some reason shouted out Dover.
And for those of you who know Eddie Trunk, that's where he pretty much started.
That is where Eddie Trunk started his radio career. Yes, good job to you. I say yes. I believe I said hell yes. It's the cat man. It's Peter Criss.
It's your guy.
It's my guy. And I borrow a car that's big enough because at the time I had a Ford Bronco. So I borrow a car that's big enough because I got to pick up the whole band. I think there was four or might have been four of them. Might have been four of them in a band. And it was the band Criss. I pick them up from the airport, of course, in the trunk. I just want you all to know, in the trunk is my KISS lunchbox, a Peter Criss solo album, and I think there was one other item that I can't remember right now, but I got it in the trunk, but I'm working, so I'm trying to be cool about it. And I greet them, and it was so cool. I'm sure you people have seen the commercial where I'm standing there with a sign that says Criss on it. And up walks the band, and the rest of the guys were great right off the bat. Hey, you're our guy? Yes, I am. Cool. Nice to meet you. Everybody. Peter just walks past. And I'm like, oh, okay. We get to the car, get in the car. I'm a nice guy. It was the summertime. Guy's good back there. You need more air conditioning. Nothing. I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and Peter's looking everywhere other than that rearview mirror. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, you guys want music on the radio? I think it was the bass player. I don't remember his name right now. The bass player says, can you get the radio station that we're going to? And I'm like, oh, yeah, DHA. And that stirs up conversation, and the band members, other than Peter, start asking me questions about DHA. You know, what kind of radio station is it? Blah blah blah. And I'm at the time I'm a fan of DHA. So we're talking. Peter has detached himself from the world, it seemed. I'm like, all right. We get to the radio station, and the attitude just progressively got worse. And we're like out in the parking lot of the radio station, and the rest of the band members are like, it felt like they were catering to me. Hey, do you have anything you'd like Peter to sign? Yeah, I have some stuff, but I think I said something like, he don't look like he's in the mood. And somebody said he's never in the mood. And then I can't remember exactly like what happened, but Peter started to like boss me around. And well, I haven't changed much since I was about 4. So that doesn't work very well for me. And he started like ordering me around, like telling me where I was going to park, telling me I was going to do this. I had to sit in the car. Whoa. And I told him, hey, man, I don't work for you. And he said my favorite words. do you know who I am? And I said to him, I know exactly who you are. I said, in that trunk is a lunchbox that I got when I was 5 years old. That lunchbox has your picture on it. I know exactly who you are, and I don't care. I work for Obsessions. You're going to be late for your interview. And he goes in. And they're in there for about 45 minutes, and they come out. And now Peter really is angry. Peter don't like me anymore. His bandmates, they're busting his balls. Hey, Peter, the kid's got stuff for you to autograph in back. I ain't autographing nothing. I don't work for him. I don't this. I don't. He is just running his mouth. What's it take? Maybe 10 or 15 minutes to go from DHA to Obsessions. He don't shut up the entire ride. And he is just poking me the entire ride. And I'm doing deep breathing woosah exercises because I'm thinking to myself, I love this man and I'm going to strangle him. The band members, they were throwing fuel on the fire on a constant basis. And now they're outright busting Peter's balls. Like, we pull up, we get out. All the band members get out of the car like grown men. And Peter's sitting in the middle of the back seat of the car. And we're all standing outside and the doors are closed. And I look at these guys and I'm like, hey, does he need a minute or something? And they go, no, he's done this before. He wants you to open the door for him. I'm like, yeah, dude, that ain't gonna happen. So we stand out there for like 2 more minutes, and finally one of the guys for the bands opens the door and goes, hey, he ain't opening the door. So finally Peter gets out, and now it seemed like it started to dawn on him that he's not a star enough for me. And he walks over to the trunk and he goes, all right, let me see what you got. I go, what are you talking about? You got stuff from me to autograph. I go, hell no. Nope. No. Just open it up. I'll autograph it. No, thank you. The guys from the band are like, dude, he wants to autograph it. I don't care what he wants. He's burned that bridge. I don't want it autographed. Peter gets mad again, stomps in. Can tell you this for 100% fact. He was a lot more demanding than Ace could ever be, in my experience. Like, he had to be fed. Ace didn't care about that. Ace brought his own beer. Ace didn't take anything from Obsessions at all. He didn't even ask for a hot dog. Like, he came in, did a show, minded. This is before meet and greets and things like that. There was none of that. Peter had to have a spread. It had to be catered. There had to be certain things there. Like, Billy, the owner, is bitching at me about it. Like I had something to do with it. This guy thinks that we're Madison Square Garden. He wants this and he wants that. Anyway, they go on stage. They do a really good show. It was really, I thought it was a really good band. I liked the Criss album to begin with, but it was a good show. And then the show gets over and I have to take this asshat Catman to his hotel. And I know this. So again, I did personal security for him also, but I didn't really talk to him, didn't deal with him. Talked to all the band members all night long. They were all great. Show gets over with. We go to walk out to the car, and he's standing at the trunk. All right, kid, open the trunk. I look at the rest of the band and I'm like, yo, this guy doesn't get it, does he? And they're like, just open the trunk so he can sign the stuff. No. I walk up to him and I go, look, I have loved you since I was 5 years old. I go, that's not going to change. But you're not signing my shit. I'm not opening the trunk. Get in the car because I want to take you back to the hotel and I'd like to go home. And you could see on his face, again for the second time, oh shit. It was almost like I did it again. That was the look. And you know what? I'll give Peter credit. We got back to the hotel. Dingy. It wasn't even a hotel. It was a motel. Get back to the motel. Gets out of the car. Never looks at me. As he's walking away, he says, "I'm sorry," and keeps walking. And one of the members of the band goes, "That's as much of an apology as you'll ever get." So there's my brush with greatness with Peter Criss.
I wish I could say that I was surprised to hear that, but from all the stories of his interaction with Kiss, he's a moody son of a gun. He's always been I mean, cats have 9 lives, but I guess he has he has not more than 9 different types of moods. He's a moody cat.
He's a moody cat. Yeah. And look, the truth is, I never did hold it against him.
Do you think, let me ask you this, do you think that, and I would imagine it has to be a little of this, he's bitter having to play little clubs?
Yes, absolutely. My uneducated take for the last 30 some years has been Ace didn't care where he played. He was playing. And that is the feel that I got. Peter, it was different. Peter wanted to be a star and wanted to be treated like a star. And when didn't treat Peter like a star, and look, I didn't mistreat him, but I didn't fall all over him either.
Well, I'm a lot like you. I can't stand people who act entitled.
I can understand if you're having dinner with your family and some dude walks up and you know thinks that he is owed something. That's different.
Right.
But in the settings that I have been in, like I've always tried to be respectful, but you got to give me that respect back. And if you don't, well, things aren't going to turn out well.
We can use the example of Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Would I be a little bit in awe if I met them? Absolutely. Would I be like, oh my God? No, I'd be like, hey, Gene, how you doing, man? I've been a big fan for a long time. And if he's kind of like aloof or entitled, I'll go back to just thinking of him as the character, and I'll enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, you kind of got to detach yourself
right
from that.
We have what, over 800 subscribers now?
Ooh, as of this minute, we have 854 subscribers.
Well, first, I'm very thankful that a lot of people are joining the party. One thing I want to say is between us and the 800 and some subscribers, I'm sure there's plenty of hooligans that have met members of KISS. And let me tell you something. We have a Facebook page. We have the comment section. We would love to hear your stories because I'm sure there's a ton of stories of meeting members of KISS. And whether you've met Eric Singer, all the way from Eric Singer all the way up to Gene, Paul, Eric Carr. I mean, this does it for us. That's why we do the podcast. Hearing your stories would be something we would really be interested in.
If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, please leave us a review. And if you just found us, check out our past episodes. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel and you liked this episode, please consider hitting the like button, just like him, and leaving us a comment. Hit that subscribe button, just like him, so you don't miss any future episodes, and check out these episodes right up here. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for supporting us, and don't forget, if it's too loud, you're too old. Peace out, Hooligan Nation.